understands and has been through that experience, I'm sure.
I mean, not even that, her son is actually the same age as my younger son, so we're going through all of this together, like children's stuff.
Hello friends, good morning. It is Tuesday, March 12th, and it's about 8:45 in the morning. Tuesdays are my late days. I go in at 10 o'clock at work. It's kind of silly because I think we're the only office that makes us have a late day, partly because like one of the other offices closes at 5. So, I may have a bone to pick, but like it's not the end of the world. I at least get to kind of have my mornings to myself. And normally I just spend them cleaning. It's usually my cleaning day because Greg's working and I just have like a 2-hour span to get stuff done without people being in my way. So I did do a little bit of cleaning, but like I said, it's about 8:45. I don't have a long drive, so I usually leave my house about 9:30, and that means I have about 45 minutes to tinker around. Yesterday, it was lesson 22 and the first part of kind of plotting that we are doing this week. Last week we looked at character, this week we're looking at kind of plotting. And yesterday I watched the story DNA, and I never got to get through the further reading. I did read one of them, and it was kind of looking at John York, who I have no idea who he is, but I liked his structure, and it was actually a 5-act structure, which is not something I hear ever. I know that there's like 3, 4, like you could kind of make whatever you want, but I thought the 5-act structure was really interesting. It was very wordy, the article, so I didn't retain a lot in that one. I'm hoping the other two are a little bit more clarifying. I did have writing club last night. I got up to 16,000 words, so I'm still on target. The nice thing is they only expect you to write Monday through Friday, with Saturday being kind of like an extended learning day and Sunday being a rest day. So as long as I get 5,000 within the week, I am still on course to meet my 75,000 words by the end of this course. So I stopped at the 16,000 last night, mostly because I made myself sick because I had way too much caffeine and it was not sitting well. I had 2 Starbucks was having a BOGO, and I was really excited because they have oat milk lavender lattes, which is up my alley, and one was matcha and one was a regular espresso, and I needed to try both, and it was BOGO, so I had to get it because I had a gift card and then buy one get one free. I did pawn off half of my drink to someone because I was like, I can't have all of it, but it still made me sick. So long story short, I got to my goal for the day. It just didn't go beyond the 16,000 other than maybe like 100 words. With that said, I was considering writing this morning, and in theory I could bang out probably 1,000 words in about a half hour and do that before work. But since I went into my new job, this morning time like is not enough for me to settle and like sit and write like it used to be back in my like 2 jobs ago, where I had a flexible schedule and I made my own schedule and I drove everywhere and I worked from home. Like I was able to do a lot more in the morning because I could buffer my time, where I might not have to go out until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So like I could get all my cleaning done and then by 10 o'clock feel like I can sit. Now I have to go back into work for 10 o'clock. So that's a long-winded reason to just say like I have a harder time adjusting to morning writing during the weekday because I'm in work mode rather than writing mode in the morning. So because of that, I am just going to do all of the course stuff today, which means I want to go back and check out the further reading. And there's 2 things about, the plot DNA. And then I would also like to do today's lesson, which is on scene versus summary. I'm really excited for scene versus summary because sometimes I think I get tripped up on what I should be expanding on, aka the scene, versus like what I need to summarize. I think as I write more, I get better, but I would love a good refresher on that. And that's what today's going to be. So I am excited to see how I can maybe incorporate it into Project Vampire as I'm moving along. And if anyone is curious, right now I am in chapter 9. I am going off my outline. I did outline this novel. However, I will say that so far during my outline, I nixed one chapter because I ended up realizing that it was really like chapter 4 was chapter 3 extended, but it gave me room to put in a new chapter 4. And then opposite, I was writing chapter 8 and finishing up that yesterday and realized that it was not enough space I would really have 2 chapters there. So I broke my chapter 8 into chapter 8 and 9. So now I have an additional chapter plotted out essentially for this book. So I should end, as of now, unless that happens again, I should end at 28 chapters versus the 27 I plotted. And I kind of figured that was going to happen. When I did my outline, I did it loosely enough that like if I needed the flexibility to create another chapter or take a chapter away, it really wouldn't impact the story. I would still have the bones there. And that's what I did yesterday. I ended up making chapter 9 a new chapter in my outline, just being because chapter 8 was too much detail. I needed to have her oriented to her new setting as well as get backstory. So this scene versus summary is like a really good, like this week in general is just really good for where I am in my story. And I'm really curious as to if they planned the course this way, like if it was kind of like a natural flow for how a story would be moving. I'm only guessing because I am getting kind of exposition now. Like my main character has met the vampire who is saving her, and we are going to get some history on the vampires. We also have some flashbacks because as she's in this new setting, she's having a lot of flashbacks to her childhood and the experiences and how she had to react then and how she's reacting now. So there's a lot going on in these last 2 chapters, which is also why I had to split them into 2, because I realized like giving so much history and backstory wouldn't mesh well if I made it one jumbo chapter. I think people would get a little bit like, oh. I also had a really good line last night, which I don't know, I like it, how the finality was, and I'm gonna share it. I'm just gonna share it to give you kind of like a peek at my current work in progress. And this is not the chapter end, but it is a chapter break. So the chapter, like the in between, the character kind of like gets a lot of things and she passes out, and right before she does this, like this is what the exchange is. And I think right now it's a great way of setting the tone for what's to come, because right after this it's not as ominous, and I like that. I feel like it's foreshadowing. I need to leave. Her words were labored. You need to rest. His words were final. So that's the theme of my book. And I'm really excited about writing it. I've been loving this. And overall, I'm talking too much. I really need to get into this because now it's 8:55 and I only have 35 minutes left until I have to go to work. It was nice checking in, but I will come back again when I have more information to talk about. I'm not sponsored by Alani or anything, but that would be cool. Hi guys, it's March 16th. It is a little after 2:30. It's actually almost 2:45. I had wanted to sit down by 2:30, but life happens. So for the last couple days, which really, I will say, as a whole, this week was definitely a better flow up until Thursday. And I think Thursday I might have wrote like 50 words, but I had been writing every single day. And Thursday I had intended to come home and write more, but I forgot that I had a dinner outing with my in-laws. And it was wonderful and I'm glad I went. I just completely kind of forgot about it. And then by the time I got home, I was wiped. Physically this week, I've been very tired. And it was getting worse progressively throughout the week. So yesterday, which was Friday, I just decided that I was gonna just take a day break. Normally how our schedule is for this course, our rest day is Sunday. I basically just made my rest day Friday instead. So now we are playing catch up and we are finishing out the week today and tomorrow. So I did not get to do my Thursday, Friday, and Saturday videos. Thursday was flashback, which I was the most excited for this week because I love flashback. I also know that it could be overused, and if you're overusing it too much, then you kind of have to ask, like, where is your story actually starting? Like, should you just be starting in the history? So I'm excited because I do think in this particular novel I'm writing right now, I think I'm doing really well with the flashback, but I'm excited to see the feedback on this and make sure I am doing well, especially because I'm currently in the thick of flashback scenes where we're getting a little bit more about how the flashbacks are informing the current situation. And then Friday that I missed was Mystery, Surprise, and Suspense. and today plotting and pantsing. So this is where they bring in the other authors and talk about their experiences with plotting and pantsing, which I always love to hear. They're all pretty quick, and I do actually speed up these segments to 1.25 speed because Tom Bromley speaks very much like an audiobook, like very even, very like kind of a slower pace so you can absorb it. So when I speed it up, it doesn't really sound like he's talking fast at all. Sometimes with the Saturday videos, I don't speed them up because they're interview styled. So there's a bunch of authors and they don't all have that slow cadence. So I'll probably speed up the first two and I'll get through them in like 10 minutes. And then the last one I'll listen, which is a 15-minute video, which is not bad. My goal was going to be to finish all these things, take some notes, look through some of the extra reading that they provide, and then write 1,500 words, give or take. As I said, I have not been completely terrible this week. I was doing really well writing, and I had been having a really good pace. I also, one day this week, I can't remember, I think it was Wednesday, maybe it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday or Wednesday during work though. I had a couple cancellations out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, I just don't know what to do with myself. I'd actually intended to look at something different completely. Like it wasn't actually my work, but I opened what I was doing. And then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna open my document and kind of see where I'm going. Cause maybe later when I get home, I'll write. And then I ended up writing like over 1,000 words. Like I wrote, 1,300 words at work. I just wasn't expecting it. So that helped a lot because I was a little bit behind. I caught back up. And now that I'm technically behind because I'm not where I should be, which would be 20,000 words as of yesterday. I think I'm at 17.5, which I don't think is bad at all, which means I just need like 2,500 words to be caught up completely. I also changed my outline up a little bit this week as I've been writing. The thing I liked about the outline is it has like a good, like where I should be going because I plotted that. However, it has been leaving me enough room to discovery write, which means that because some of the things I've been adding in as I discovery write, which works really well in my opinion, some of the outline had to change. So I added a new chapter, like I think I said earlier, and I re-outlined chapter 10. So I have that ready to go. And yeah, overall, like I'm feeling pretty good. I figured if I could get 1,500 words today, then I only need 1,000 tomorrow. And that's really doable because then I'll be up to date and then I'll have the rest of the next week to continue doing my 5,000 words. If I can get over, that's even better. But I have yoga tonight. I decided to sign up. So I've been trying to do this yoga class forever. And every time she has it's an aerial yoga to a specific soundtrack. It's a very cool class. So basically, if that's gibberish to you, yoga is yoga in the dark. So there's like the black lights are on and certain things light up. So that is like the yoga part. Aerial are the aerial silks. So you're doing yoga poses while like suspended in the air through the silks and using the silks to move into those flows and poses. I've done that before. I have also done yoga before. I've never done them together. And tonight I had tried to go to a Taylor Swift one and those get like booked up immediately. Tonight is Florence and the Machine, which is one of my favorite artists. So it just worked out eventually that I was able to go tonight, but then the instructor just messaged me a couple minutes ago and said she had unexpectedly mass cancellations because there was two classes. There was a 6 and a 7:30. I had initially did not get the 6 o'clock because it was full. Now, because of all the cancellations, she's trying to combine the class to the 6 o'clock one, which is fine. I'm not really going anywhere else, but that means my timeline is now an hour less than I had because I have to leave at like 5:30 now versus 7. So that's 2:45 we're at, and I'm talking a lot. I really need to get to work. So I cracked open my energy drink to get me into the zone. I'm excited to learn and to write today, and we're going to be finishing off all of this week. Also, because this is going to be 2 weeks, and obviously I have next week, I did go ahead and sign up for the critique from Tom Bromley. So that means I will submit 1,000 words to him, and he will give me direct feedback. So we have to get on our shit and write so I can submit something for the end of next week. Cheers to progress, and let's get on with our writing. Hi guys. So that writing session went actually very well. I didn't expect how it was going to go, to be honest. And I'm like, I know sometimes I get in my head and then I do all of these like side quests, if you will, aka like grabbing my phone, doing other stuff, but that was extremely productive. I did all of the videos and I noticed, which is weird, I'm not gonna say this is normal, but anytime like I was getting like distracted for like the videos I was watching or like the reading, I was going into my novel and writing instead of like picking up my phone or like Googling things. Like I wasn't even stopping for laundry, even though I have laundry I need to do. And then like when I would get distracted from my writing, I went back to the videos. That worked out so well. So I got all the videos done. I read all the extended readings. The extended readings were like super helpful. Not all of them, but a couple of them from each of the 3 days I missed were like really good. And the ones about flashbacks in particular, I think I said there was a 5 mistakes you make writing flashbacks, and that was really helpful. And then there was another one about how to avoid info dumps that was presented in a really strong way. And even though I kind of knew some of them, I ended up reading the whole article, which I normally don't do. I usually skim them, to be honest, and see like what I can parse out of it. So there were some good nuggets in there. I also really liked the plotting and pantsing like master class style with all the authors. It's really interesting to me to see how authors write. And he had 3 different people who had 3 different styles. One was a plotter, one was a pantser, and one was very interesting. It was AY Chow, and she was saying how she will write the outline as she's writing her draft because it helps her keep track when she's going back to edit. So I thought that was an interesting way too. And yeah, it was a very good little insider knowledge of some writers out there. I also fixed and added some things to my outline because there's some things that I want to make consistent, and like this is about an unhealthy relationship. So I'm trying to show the ways, especially the back and forth from the vampire character, how sometimes they're sweet and caring, and then they'll flip a switch and be like really cruel and mean and angry, but then like beg for forgiveness. And, you know, the problems that he has within himself and how he is putting them onto Casey and keeping her in a place that is not healthy. So I've been like piecing through that through my outline to make sure I am still staying consistent, because this outline was originally made in 2021. It is definitely being updated as I work through it. So I am in some ways following that one author because I'm editing it and like writing notes as I'm going. However, I did outline this beforehand, and I ended up writing 1,000 words. So I was around 17,400, I think. I am at 18,368. So I'm just under the 1,000 mark probably, but I feel really good. I did not finish my chapter 10, but that'll be okay. I think I actually will come back tonight after yoga, after dinner, and maybe bang out the rest of this, because I basically like started chapter 10, skipped because I had this scene in my head and I'm like, I'm writing it out now. So I wrote the entire end of the chapter where the vampire's leaving and leaving her alone for a little bit to be kind of bewildered. But I kind of skipped like how we got there, and her like, cause she woke up and she was kind of like feeling sick and all this stuff was happening, but I didn't finish writing that section. So I feel good. And then I also had a very brief idea of how to start chapter 11. So depending on how I feel, I may just continue writing tonight. But I definitely have good space to finish this up tomorrow and be in a good position for next week. So with that said, I'm gonna go get ready and go to yoga because it's 5:04. I have to leave around 5:30. Yoga is at 6, and yeah, I'm just having a good day. Today's a great day.
Around the estate. So that sense of movement from his running carries the opening through. It's there throughout the scene.
Hello friends, hi. It's Wednesday, March 20th. I am gonna be quick-ish because I'm at work, and I actually tried to film this once before and it never played, it never saved anything. So here we are, round 2. So hi, I'm checking in midweek because I didn't have a ton to talk about as far as the class or the writing goes. This week in Reedsy, it's all about description. So we're in week 5 and they're talking about how to utilize description and how to create more using the senses and color, movement, and action in your pieces. For Thursday and Friday, we have small details, people past, and POV. So I think out of all of this week, the Friday session may give me the most insight because otherwise I do feel like I'm good with description. If I don't do description in the beginning of my, first draft, then when I go to edit, I do tend to bulk things up really well. And I have been a pretty middle of the road writer in my recent years where I will write pretty well. I'm not an underwriter. I am pretty middle of the road. So this draft should be probably between 75,000 and 80,000, which is a solid first draft. And that means I may have 20,000 to play around with and add to if I wanted. This is mostly a review week for me as far as reminding myself of things, but I'm not necessarily gaining new information. Even some of the recommended readings haven't been as captivating as they sometimes are, though there was one that was about neuroscience and smell, so sometimes their extra reading has nothing to do with writing itself. And this week in particular, especially with the senses, there were a lot of just medical articles that they had, or research articles to how to evoke senses. And there was one that was all about training to heighten your sense of smell, which I thought was just very interesting. So in some ways I did read that and learned some stuff about it, but not necessarily something that I'm going to apply immediately to my life. But on the other side, the writing has been going very well, and I have made 2 observations about my writing. So just to kind of piece together where we are at. Last week I was at my target of 20,000 words. I wrote 1,000 on Monday and 1,000 on Tuesday. Give or take. I think I wrote about 800 on Monday and then wrote over the 1,000, the 1,200 mark on Tuesday. And I've been keeping up very well, which means that if I do continue to write somewhat every single day, then I will be in a surplus by the weekend because I'm live streaming on Sunday, which will be great because then I get to just have extra words in my bank in case anything happens. 2 things I've been noticing though about my own writing while I am having this course motivate me to do daily word goals is 1, every day that I even open my document, whether I'm at work or I'm home, if I have that document open, I am doubly likely that I'm going to work and write something. And I don't even have don't necessarily even have the intention of writing, but if it's there, somehow I end up writing in it, which is great. Again, we want to write, right? That's what we want to do. The second thing I've noticed is that after getting the document open, and if I am then starting to write, if I start to write in any capacity, even if it's just I have a thought here and I want to write it down, I write more. So this 1,000 words a day is actually super easy for me to achieve because in 1 hour I will write 1,000 words, if not more. I can get up to 800 on a good 30-minute sprint. So overall, when I'm actually when I open the document and when I actually start to write, it has been easy walking for me. I'm gonna attribute that to also having my outline done before I started this novel. My outline is not perfect. I've been tweaking it as I've said in this vlog, so every time I have a different idea or if I think the book is going in a different way, I will change the outline. But even just having some semblance of an idea of where I'm going each chapter, even if it changes or if I expand in ways that I didn't anticipate, that's helping me stay accountable. And every time I open my document, if I'm starting a new chapter, I know where I'm going. It's not like I have to sit there and think too much on it. So it's just been very nice. This has been a very lovely writing experience, writing my vampire novel. And it's probably so far been the easiest book I've been writing, which is, it's good. And I think in some ways I anticipated this to be, but when I started this for NaNoWriMo, this is not the flow that I actually had during NaNoWriMo. This is much more easier and attainable. So yeah, 5,000 words a week is definitely an easier target than trying to do almost 2,000 words a day for 30 days. And nothing against NaNoWriMo itself and the concept, that's definitely a challenge, but I think this is a more sustainable approach to me by trying to do a novel in 3 months. And I think if I kept doing this throughout, I will have several novels written by far. The last observation I have made is that because I have had even though they're technically self-imposed deadlines, but even though I have deadlines and I'm working with this class, every time I have downtime at work, which like right now, if I have a client that cancels or my client's running late, I have been utilizing that time to get some writing in. And I used to do this a long time ago. Like when I first had my first job out of college, I would use that time and I would alternate. Some days I would watch an episode of TV on Netflix, and then other days I would write. And I don't really watch a lot of TV in general anymore. So if I don't watch YouTube videos, like I'm just writing, or I'm doing some of the work on Reedsy, or I'm beta reading or alpha reading. I'm currently doing that for someone, and I'm on chapter like 20 of 32 for them. So I've been doing a really good balance of like learning, writing, alpha reading, and most of the days I always have a cancellation, which means that by the time I get home, I've kind of not only done my work, but I've done my writing work. And that's been a really great balance. Even though like last night, for instance, I got home and I only wrote half of my word count goal, but I decided to do the dishes. And because I missed the live stream on Monday, which was a live editing session, I thought, okay, like if I even set aside an hour right now, a half hour to watch half of the live stream and do the dishes, and then a half hour to write my 500 words, like that should be a good way to end the night. And I did that, and that was exactly how it planned out. Like I was determined to do it, and I did it. So I got into bed around 9 o'clock, and I just read until I fell asleep, and it was beautiful because I felt good accomplishing all my goals. So overall, like I don't know, to be honest, if I wasn't offered this program, if I would have found how successful this way of writing would have been. Because we all have ups and downs, and even like I mentioned in my last vlog, like my husband's health kind of had a lower turn. You know, he had limited spoons that week, and it was a little bit harder. But because I'm on such a good, consistent like writing practice right now, I am having an easier time adjusting to things being thrown my way, and 2, I don't feel like everything is crashing to a halt because I'm already in a good flow. So if I miss one day, making up 2,000 words versus like 10,000 words is a lot easier. I'm not missing multiple days in a row if I have to adjust. So overall, the program at the very least is getting me in a very good habit of writing. I'm still learning a lot, and it is really worthwhile to have feedback and being able to talk to people and learning stuff from a professional. But if there was only one thing that this was helping with, it would by far be putting me on a good schedule for writing. So yeah, so that's my little ramble right now. I do have a client that's coming in at 1, so I'm gonna be wrapping up because it's about 12:30 and I need to get my office back together so I can see clients. But I am going to try to write a few more words before I call it quits for the day. And I will likely have one more check-in, but it might not be as in-depth as this one was. We'll just see how the rest of the week goes. So we will chat when we chat, friends. Hi, friends. It's Thursday, March 21st, and I'm going to actually end the vlog early. Before editing, this vlog is already over a half hour, and I definitely did not want to go over that time. But I also kind of finished the week early. So I think I mentioned maybe in my last clip, but I don't know, this whole week has been going really well, and I really don't want to jinx it. It seems to be a better health week for my husband. I've been balancing things really well. I'm really enjoying the stuff I'm doing, and I'm just like writing with the sense of like having fun writing, like figuring it out and putting words down and not really worrying too much about if they're the perfect thing at this point in time. And everything's been just very nice. Today, I decided to walk on the treadmill. As I mentioned, one of my goals is to incorporate more movement in my weeks. I try to aim for like 3 different things during the week, whether that's 3 walks or 2 walks and yoga or some just light stretching or taking a walk around the parking lot at lunch. But I haven't done multiple this week, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go walk on the treadmill. And while I did that, I decided to just binge the last 3 videos. So I watched Thursday, Friday, and Saturday's videos of Reedsy, and honestly, all were really good. I particularly liked the authors coming together, which is the Saturday video. They talked about how they use description and getting into the scene. A lot of them talked about using Google Maps or going to the places and really like invoking your senses. So what smells do you have there? What do you hear? What do you feel? Like one was like, if you jumped over a brick wall, like when you're grabbing that wall, is it covered in soot from the industry plants or is it slimy from seawater? So just like things to consider when I'm going through and adding details, especially moving forward. I do notice that as I was writing this week, I have been trying to invoke the senses. I have a whole scene about my character eating SpaghettiOs. That is definitely directly because of this lesson this week, I will say. I actually think the SpaghettiO scene works really well. I also kind of, I don't know if it's expertly woven in by any means, but I was able to actually put in kind of like a trauma flashback because of the SpaghettiOs, and it was just something simple, you know, like those things that trigger those senses and those memories that get attached to the senses. It's not always a trauma trigger. Sometimes just things trigger. And that's been actually, I've been having a conversation about like senses, not just with this week, but also in therapy and talking to people, like both my clients and just other people like my husband. I was watching a video and like that had triggered a memory for him based on like something in his past, like 20 years ago. Like he actually was like, oh, it sounded like a ringtone that I had for this person back then. So like all of that, oddly enough, has been like tying into my real life, and it's been making me more aware of how the senses evoke certain things, not just the physicality of it, but the memories that are associated with it. So all in all, a great lesson this week. And I decided that I wanted to wrap up the vlog because one, I did just go ahead and finish the videos, but two, I'm in a really good place. I have written 1,000 words every single day this week, and it feels really good. So I'm at a little over 24. I actually think I'm at 24,100 exactly, which I was like, that's a fun stopping point. And that means I just have to write 1,000 tomorrow to be at the limit at 25,000. I do plan to write my 1,000 tomorrow itself, but I'm also doing a stream on Sunday. And I think I may pick up the next vlog on Sunday and see where I get. My goal is to use Sunday as a banking words day. Like I would still like to get 5,000 during the week, but this would be kind of like a cash bank to use in emergencies, you know, my emergency fund, my emergency word bank. I don't know, whatever term you want. Basically, if I get anything on Sunday, that'll be a nice little addition in the event that maybe next week doesn't go as well or the week after doesn't go as well, and I'm still keeping up with the weekly task. Sunday's also going to be busy because I have to do some admin stuff for my book club, and I also am doing beta reading, so I need to finish that up. Next week is the last full week I have to be doing this beta reading, so I would like to try to finish it for then because I will be going away in April and I have a lot of other obligations in April. So yeah, we're in a good place right now, but yeah, I'm just gonna stop rambling. It was a great week. It's great to remember to use our senses for every scene. It's also good to use our place and perspective and the characters and just evoking all of these things all at once. So I do think this was a great lesson. And while maybe some of it wasn't stuff that I didn't know, like it's not necessarily this isn't a beginner thing. It again though just reminded me of stuff and actively made me use it in the scenes I was writing. This has been a great 2 weeks, guys. We're wrapping it up. So my third vlog is done. I will be back in 2 weeks with weeks 5 and 6. And that's pretty much it. So let me know what you're working on. Let me know how your writing progress is going. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.